Hello guys. So I feel that I'm being guided to make another video, and what I wanted to talk to you guys about today is escapism and the dangers of escapism. And I see that it is a major trap within the spiritual community, within light workers, and whether that's using psychedelics or not, just light workers in general have struggles with escapism, including myself for a while. And I just want to let you guys know, what's been occurring to me, what's been shown to me in my journeys working with Mother Earth, and through meditation, mostly through meditation, also ceremony. As you know, if you've been listening to the channel, I do a monthly ceremony, and many times I have my own personal ceremonies as well with cannabis at home. And it's always in the ceremony fashion. Like, it is a sacrament. I don't do it for recreation. It's not recreational for me at all, in fact. It's very cannabis for me is very intense. It's almost seems like it's more of an outer body experience than ayahuasca for me. I can't say that about other people. In fact, I'm probably very rare out of the population that feels that way. But I'm just being honest. But I always have a sitter. I always have someone that understands the medicine and that I trust, and I've done the medicine enough to understand that no matter how I feel, no matter, how, I don't know how else to put this, no matter if I'm freaking out or not, just to, constantly remind myself to breathe and that I'm okay. And once one has developed that kind of spiritual core strength to know who you are and that you are okay, that you took a holy sacrament, you didn't take a poison or any kind of, mind tricks that the ego plays with us. And this can happen during meditation too. There's many times in meditation where when one really goes deep, mind almost wants to be like, okay, open your eyes, check, that, you didn't go out of body or whatever, it's just the medicine kind of speeds that up. It kind of skips over that first, couple minutes of boredom and just goes right into it, Medicine is really great for, getting past the boredom barrier, what have you. Anyway, sorry I'm rambling. Anyway, to be back on topic. So the dangers of escapism. So one of the dangers of escapism, I believe, is that it is a false program to leave Earth. Now, if you look at this more and more in this 5 Sense reality, media has been pushing leave Earth, travel space, go beyond, our atmosphere, go to Mars, like this big push of Mars, like, oh, Elon Musk, who's this, the Einstein of our time, or, they try to make him seem like that. Really, he's just an actor. Anyway, they try to, build him up, and that this idea of going to Mars is just this wonderful thing, and, to colonize Mars. What's our deal with colonization? We really got to get over that as a society. We really got to just get over the whole colonization sickness. So there's that. The media is pushing for it, but also what I have experienced is that there's also a extraterrestrial push. Now, when I say extraterrestrial, I do not mean from another solar system. They traveled millions of years to get here. No. It's more of an internal thing. It's especially for those who have gone real deep into the conspiracy theories and have, researched all the alien abductions and all this. When you start to do spiritual work, and especially with psychedelic medicine, you start to find that those ETs that we may have done this research on, they start to communicate, but it's all within. It's what must be understood is this is internal. So, just want to be clear about that. These are internal. They are an aspect of you that is trying to deceive the better aspect of you. It's almost like you're giving your power away. And one of these ways is, to be willing to leave Earth. We must understand, what is Earth? How deep does Earth go? Really, I want to encourage you to think about that, contemplate that, meditate on that. What is Earth? Do we really understand Earth? Another thing is, I find that a lot of psychonauts who, believe in this, who struggle with escapism, they want to escape so much because, they see that the society has, gone downhill. They see all this corruption going on in this world, and, they just want to leave it, They're like, when I die, I don't want to come back. I don't want to incarnate on Earth. I don't want, I don't want to, and it's all this like, I want to leave. I want to leave. I want to leave. I want to go to, the dimension of, whatever. And I want to go, and incarnate on the planet of Xena Ganubi. And, no. That's one of the problems with this escapism is it makes you want to leave. And psychonauts in particular, you're leaving your body, you're doing this travel. It's inner travel. It's not outside of us, it's inside of us. The universe is inside of us. When we are traveling the universe, it's the universe within. We're not traveling outside. So it's the universe within. So if we're going to visit another planet, per se, it's another planet within us. It's the creation of our minds. It's almost like our imagination. So it's internal. It's not external. So like, with channeling, and I know I'm gonna you gotta be careful with channeling, because what the channeling could be, it could be a number of things, but one thing that I think it is mostly is the internal aspect of oneself communicating with another self. And what may be truth for that person internally is not necessarily the truth for everybody. So channeling, be very careful with that, especially extraterrestrial channeling and so on. You really got to think, what is this extraterrestrial? The other problem is with psychonauts that want to escape so bad is that they're willing to take the quote-unquote heroic dose, which is a dose that far exceeds the recommended dosage. And usually I find that this is when there's not a healer present or a shaman present or someone that can, ground the person, let them know, like, okay, take the sacrament, but be grounded. Generally, psychonauts don't have that. They take these sacraments wanting to explore, wanting gnosis, wanting, pretty much escape. And unfortunately, what this can cause is convulsions. Like the body actually convulses. Like, for example, I know a couple, they were guided by some entity or group of entities to travel to Egypt to go inside the pyramids and to drink their sacrament. And they drank so much of this sacrament, I don't know if they were guided by these entities, but they drank so much of the sacrament that their bodies went into convulsions. And that is not safe in any circumstance. Our body is our temple. No matter what book or what religion or whatever you read, that's not the issue. Our body is our temple. It is the place where the spirit resides. And we must take care of our bodies. We must not take so much medicine that our bodies start to fail. This is very important. Also, what can happen is they can have a psychotic breakdown. In other words, they lose touch with five sense reality. Things can occur such as thinking that this five sense reality we're in is just, a matrix, like the movie, like first of all, you got to think, who was that? Who created that movie, first of all? What group created that movie and planted that idea into us? Now, I've watched The Matrix, I guess for a long time I was a fan, it's entertaining, but it's very psychological, and it really makes you think, and it really encourages the whole escapism idea. And what can happen is when someone starts to see this reality as a matrix, is they start to think it doesn't matter. But the problem with that is that it creates a window of escapism to not work towards anything, to not care for people. It diminishes compassion for others. I know a group. They're a podcast, and they are a psychedelic podcast, and they're really into escapism, and that this world is a matrix, and they're constantly blaming this octopus-like AI, apparently, that's constantly, whenever something goes wrong in their life, that it's an artificial intelligence sending a program into their lives. Um, and that's a problem because it prevents them from working on that issue in their life if they think it's just a program from some you know artificial intelligence, and then they start to what is the most harmful is that they start to call people NPCs. Now, NPCs is a MMORPG term. It's for those who are, you have your players who are actual, people controlling a character in a game, MMORPG, multi player RPG, massive multi online RPG. So a lot of people, hundreds of people, thousands of people are playing a character online to play with other people. But there's also these characters on there where you have to get your quest from, and those are non-playable characters. So those are characters that are not played by an actual person. So that's the concept of it. So this group believes that there are people on this earth that are actually not being played by actual souls. That's a very dangerous way of thinking. That causes division, and it causes compassion for others to diminish. Because what happens is someone does something so, it bothers you, it bothers, the person, let's say the light worker, it bothers the light worker so much that then they're like, you know what, they're just an NPC and they're just never going to get it. And so they write them off. And we can't be writing people off. Not as light workers. That's not going to make the world a better place. And we need to make this world a better place. Because there is nowhere else. There is this world. We do not live in an actual matrix. If you are listening to somebody who is telling you that you live in an actual matrix, you need to be really careful, because that can go down a very dangerous road. I had an experience where it was in ceremony, and I was shown a vision of a man who was driving with his friends, and he was the driver, and they were all carpooling. And he had this experience that showed him that this is all a matrix, and he thought he was doing everybody a favor by just driving off the road and killing everybody in the vehicle. And as he was driving off the road, the people were screaming, and he was like, "Don't worry, guys, this is all just a matrix, it doesn't matter." And everybody in the van died. Now, I want to repeat, this was just a vision. This didn't happen. This was a vision. It was a lesson. It was something that was shown to me that someone can take it too far, and just got to be really careful with that. This life matters. Your life matters. Our life matters. And it's important that we accept that our lives matter. You matter. Animals matter. Animals, trees, plants, everything of this earth, it all matters. It's not a matrix. The only matrix that we live in is a society that has convinced people that pieces of paper are valuable. That's the matrix. It's a mental matrix. Another way of thinking about this is during spiritual work or light work, oftentimes we are met with our ancestors. And one thing that you must think about is, if this earth was a matrix and nothing here mattered, and if, when we die, we escape and go off to some other realm, some other planet, solar system, what have you, then why would the ancestors waste their time? They would just say, oh, the humans there, they're just playing a game over there and none of it really matters. So, just leave them alone. When their game is done, then, we'll join them. No, they don't do that. They interact with us. They teach us to be better people. They teach us to care for others. They teach us why we have wounds within us that need to be healed. If there was no reason to do the healing, then why would they bother? You must ask yourself, why do these ancestors, why do these spirits, and I'm talking about good spirits, I'm talking about benevolent spirits, I'm talking about those who are teaching love and compassion, why would they want to teach us those things if none of this mattered? So this does matter. This life matters. A problem with escapism is when one. So I had an experience with Sapito, and this is also known as 5-MeO DMT, and this is a shamanic medicine from Mexico, and I at the time I didn't believe in anything. I was a completely wipe the board, clean slate, don't really believe any of it, and and partially it's because I've been hurt by religion so much. And so, I was like, no God, no entity, just nothing, just nothing. And that's exactly what I got. I was pulled out of my body, and I was in a place of absolutely nothing. It's like the movie Never-Ending Story. What happens is the nothing invades the land and it turns everything to nothing. That's what I saw. And the lesson I got from that was that although there was no fear in that nothing, there was also no love in that nothing. There was no light. All there was darkness. And although some may call that Zen, that's not the Zen I would like to reside in. So the lesson I took from that was that it's important to believe in something, because in the end, it's what where we believe we will go is where we go, and that we are our true judge. The only one judging us is ourselves, and that's why we can't, trick ourselves. We can only allow other beings to, trick us. But when it comes, and that's into like doing something or not doing something. But when it comes to like, okay, you're in the so-called judgment seat, where you go, you are the one that decides. I am the one that decides. Because I am my own judge. I know what I have done in my life. And I know when I have felt remorse, when I have, felt like I have forgiven, I have shown love where I need to show love, or the other way around. I know that. So who is better judge than you? And that's why it's so important to live a righteous life, to live on the right path. Those of you who know about the left path and right path, this is why it's important to live on the right path. Because you know that you have lived righteously. So when you die, you know, I gave it, my all. I chose love in situations where I was tempted to hate. I chose love in situations where I was tempted to to not choose love, because we're always tempted. Unconditional love. That's why unconditional love is so important, because in the end, that's what saves us, is our own unconditional love. To be like, how bad I felt at that moment, I chose love, and and therefore, I give myself a thumbs up. I weigh my own feather, for those of you who are into Egyptian mythology. So with that in our minds, if you don't believe in anything, what I have been shown can happen is it leads to becoming a disincarnated entity. So in other words, if one dies and they believe that they can escape this realm and go off to some planet, Xenaganubi or whatever, and they don't accept the fact that, no, you actually come back to Earth and live another life, they refuse to incarnate. And I believe this is what can cause disincarnated spirits. And these are what, for example, are what our society has accepted as hauntings, is these disincarnated spirits attaching to wherever they see light. And a healer understands that they need to show them to the light, that they are not the light. They are shining like a light, but that we need to show them to the light. And I'll have to make a whole another video on that. That is a very long and serious topic. Dealing with disincarnated entities. Also, a problem with escapism is one learns to look outside themselves for guidance, and that leads to deception. So when, yes, it's okay to understand these lessons from within, but when they start teaching lessons that go against your moral values, what you know is love, and they go against that, like, oh, you know what? It's okay to not like this person because they did this to you in a past life. Or it's okay to, ignore this person because they're just an NPC. Or, so on and so forth. Those are outside of you. To think that you're being channeled by some being from another star system, you're accepting outside of you teachings. You're accepting frequencies that are outside of you, and you're latching onto those, and it can cause confusion. It can cause misinterpretation. It can cause pretty much false teachings. So remember, the guidance is from within. Also, if a being tells you to go follow this guru somewhere, no, it's within. Yes, you can learn from others. Yes, there are other teachers, but that's what they are. They are teachers. They're not, anything more than a human who has had spiritual experience, who has developed wisdom, and they can teach you how to become wiser. They can teach you how to become more spiritually sensitive, but that's it. They're teachers. No more than that. So it's important not to look outside of ourselves for guidance. Not to look outside of our planet for guidance. Or whatever this reality is. Whatever you believe this reality is, it's important not to look outside of it. And like I said, the ETs, they're trying to deceive us from within. There's another topic that I need to get to, which is about parasites and how it's important to not consume parasites. And they can be related to these ET-like thought form entities that can create trouble during ceremony and during meditation. Also, there really is no proof that there is anything outside of our Earth. We see the sky, we see the clouds, we see the stars, but I've seen many YouTube videos of just people. They'll launch a balloon. It goes way up there. It goes high, way up there, so far that it goes, I believe it or not, it goes past the stars. Literally, the stars disappear from the camera, and then the balloon, it kind of like hits this like invisible wall. And it just sits there, and you can see the sun, you can see the clouds below, and just this darkness above with no stars. It's kind of trippy. And so there, I don't believe in the science that explains that, the atmospheric pressure and all that. Also, the fact that no entity, any public entity, any humans, have actually gone out of our atmosphere. Every time they tried to launch a teacher up in so-called space, the shuttle blew up. Remember the Challenger, for example? I remember the Challenger because when it went up, the school children were all watching it, and it was this big thing. It was like, hey, all students, let's, pause, your normal lesson and watch this Challenger. So everybody's watching this Challenger, and it blows up, sending a message that, there is, to me, the message was kind of like, if you have any dreams of, becoming an astronaut, don't. Anyway, sorry, I got off topic there. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that there is no actual proof that there's anything beyond Earth. NASA lies. See it in the videos all the time. I've seen videos of NASA footage where they're so-called on a satellite working on a so-called shuttle, the outside of the shuttle, and a bubble of water floats across the screen, and they're like, "Oh, that's space dust." It looks. I mean, it's. There's tons of videos on it. Do your own research. YouTube's filled with it. And if you really look at it, if you're really honest with yourself, you realize that NASA is not being honest with us. And neither is SpaceX. SpaceX has yet to show any kind of aircraft come back into the atmosphere. NASA has no video of an aircraft coming back into the atmosphere. If all these satellites were up in our solar system, you would think that they would have high definition cameras of every inch of our Earth at every angle, that they would have high definition cameras of all the stars, other satellites, and so on, but instead we get a complete blackout. So until we get more proof that there's something beyond our solar system, beyond our Earth, I think it's really important not to believe in that deception, especially this deception of going to Mars. I feel like it's a very dangerous program, and I really hope that it's not a danger to our population. I hope it's not a program to diminish human population by convincing people to go to Mars, and instead they go somewhere else. I just really hope it's not that. One thing that's very important to understand is that we truly do create our own reality. With this group that believes that, this universe is controlled by some artificial octopus-like intelligence that, is sending virus-like programs and are causing everything that goes wrong in life. They are creating that reality for themselves, and we must ask ourselves, is that a reality we want to create? Like, do we want to live in a world where we really think the universe is against us? I think that it would be a much better life if one would understand that the universe is not against us. In fact, this universe works with us. I like to think of the universe as a team. And they're a team of benevolent spirits. Once again, this is from within. Our ancestors that are within us, within our temple, that are linked to our spirit, our higher selves. It's all within us. And that is a team on our side. That is a team of love. That they want this life to be as blissful as it can be. But so that we still learn our lessons at the same time. But we must understand that they respect free will. So we choose what to do with those lessons. We choose whether to love or to fear, whether to love or to hate, whether to have compassion or whether to have ignorance. And in doing so, this earth, this life here on earth, can either be, a living hell or a living heaven. It's all on us. It's our reality. It's what we make it. So let's make this a better world. Let's make this life a better life. And we do it together as co-creators of this universe. We can create a better universe. In my experience, the way to travel the universe is by going within. Much like if you guys seen the movie A Wrinkle in Time, if you look at the movie, if you watch the movie, and it looks a lot like a medicinal experience. It's almost like these children tapped into deeper aspects of themselves. They're opened their pineal gland and boom, traveled across the universe. But it was all within. And that's how we travel the universe, because the universe is inside of us. It's inside of us. So when we're in a spiritual experience and we're in another dimension, we're on another planet, so on and so forth, it's internal. Why do you think when we dream we go so many places? Because it's internal. It's within us. The entire universe is within us. For example, these Hubble telescopes, they're showing within us. They're showing parts of our bodies, parts of our neural network, parts of our microscopical parts of us. It's the universe is within. So the way to travel the universe is by going within. Don't jump on a ship. Don't be willing to be abducted by any kind of extraterrestrial. Don't jump into any portal that anybody creates, whether it's through scientific means or so-called magical means. If you don't know the entity, if you have not developed a relationship with this spirit guide, and they're asking you to go through some sort of portal or to board some sort of ship, I would really advise that you develop a relationship before trusting any entity to take you anywhere. Just like, would you get in a car with a stranger? No, you got to develop a relationship first. And that's how I see it. I think that's a universal rule. So the universe is inside us, and one thing to understand is that spirituality is psychological. It's our psyche. It's in our minds. So when we are in heaven, what's the difference between us thinking this is actual real, that we're really in heaven, or if it's in our minds and it feels like we're really in heaven? Why do dreams seem more real than this reality? That's because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's reality, what we think of as reality. Those lines fade. If it's real in our minds, then it's real. Real is an experience. Real is real. So at death, the state of our mind is important. And that's what the medicines show us. Because many times these medicines make us feel like we're dying. And at that moment when one feels like they're dying, they really think about their lives. They really think about the times in their lives where they've chosen to have compassion or they've chosen to have ignorance. And they really think about where if they were to, go right now, where would they go? One, I've had many experiences like this, but one in particular, I had an experience where, I was struggling with escapism, and I was pretty much, willing to die. I was like, hey, okay, just, take me. I was telling the divine feminine of this universe, I was like, just take me, and she showed me this Atari symbol. And this Atari symbol was like encompassed of our universe. Our entire universe like is within this Atari symbol, and it showed like that this Atari symbol was filled with all the souls within the universe. And it showed that there were many souls on the bottom of this Atari symbol, and they were doing some very dark things, having no compassion for one another, very violent, death, destruction, all of that. And as it rose higher, there were still a lot of people, but not as much, and these were more of people who were more like in the partying kind of atmosphere, where they just go wherever they feel good, whether that be a bar or a concert or whatever, just doing whatever substance makes them feel good. So then another level above that was those who, are willing to follow any kind of spiritual guidance that they can to get anywhere, and to kind of like a midway. So there was a midway. So they weren't quite, they weren't dark, and they weren't into like, doing the stuff of ignorance, but they weren't quite righteous either. They weren't, choosing love in all situations. They were just kind of like in that midway. And then there was another level above that were those who are desiring to be light workers, those who are, well, I guess you could say light workers, those who are choosing love over fear, and those who are choosing to be willing to live without so many desires fulfilled, to be willing to live without, having the drama down below. And as I looked at this Atari symbol, it became more and more, and it got higher and higher, and it was as it got higher and higher, people became fewer and fewer. And so, for example, you had like the monks who have pushed all distractions to the sides, who have chosen to live, just a spiritual life, and to live, to be at peace, and so on and so forth. And then at the very top, there were the light workers, the true light, like they were just beacons of light. And it was like this warm, loving light, and they were shining so bright that they were shining all around them. So they were not only shining up, but they were shining down as well. So they were shining their light. It was like they were getting their light, like this universal light, and it would, just be much brighter within each of these individuals. And it was like they would send part of that light to those below, trying to, like, they're guiding them towards the light. So anyway, I felt like just sharing that. And during this, so when I was being shown this, I was shown where I was on that Atari symbol. And it was like Mother Earth was asking me, like, are you happy at being at that spot? Like, is that where you want to be? And I had to be honest with myself, and I was like, no, I want to be higher on that Atari symbol. And then that's when I went, further into the experience, and that's when like the light beings and the life, the feeling of life and the vibrance, the vigoration, the grounding kicked in, and I just, then that's when my spiritual life strength came back, and I didn't have that desire to escape this life after that experience. And so that shows me that between that and the experience with the Sapito, that our state of mind when we do pass is very important. We must have the peace of mind that we deserve to go to a better place. And that's personal. Nobody can give that to us. That's personal. That's within us. That's if we deserve. Do we deserve this? Do I deserve to go to a better place? And I must truly believe that. And there's no tricking. There's no deceiving yourself. Only you are your own judge. One last point I want to make is that nature is constantly reminding us of the cycle. For example, you take a seed. The seed turns into a plant. The plant becomes a tree. The tree gives off fruit. As it drops the fruit becomes seeds. The seeds becomes a plant. The plant becomes a tree. To fruit, to seed. And the cycle goes on. Everything of Mother Earth, everything on this planet, everything on this existence has a cycle. And when we are fooled into believing in escapism, we are willing to break that cycle. And you must ask yourself if that's healthy. Is it healthy to think you can break that cycle? And I'll leave you with that question. So please comment, and I don't mind if you disagree. You can write a comment saying you disagree with everything I say, and that's fine. Let's get a discussion going. It's not a debate. It's a study. This is all a study. Spiritual path is a study. Nobody really has the answers. We just have these, this higher guidance, our higher selves, which in us, our conscious, letting our conscious be our guides. So please, don't hesitate and comment. You can like the video if you want. It tells YouTube, hey, people are listening to this, so spread it around. My account is not monetized, so I don't get any kind of kickbacks or I don't get any I'm not getting any credit for any of this. So I make these videos because I truly just want people to build themselves up spiritually, and if I can help with that, then great. If I could help someone or encourage someone to take that extra step in their spiritual walk, whatever that may be, then great. I'm glad that I can help in doing that. So I hope that this was a learning experience for you. I know it was a learning experience for me, and I pray that if you are struggling with escapism, that you will be willing to listen to your guides, and that you will be willing to learn the lessons so that you could break out of the trap of escapism. So I'll leave you with that. Always remember to ground to Mother Earth before doing any kind of spiritual practice. Aho.